Coach Watson, thank you very much for being here today. Very appreciate it. So this past Thursday, you wrapped up the regular season with a pretty convincing win over Kentucky Wesleyan. You know, the fans are wearing white to white out Kentucky. And it was also a silent game. You know, they had it so no one was going to cheer until the 10th point was scored. Now, were you aware that this was a silent game at all?
I was told at our shoot-around at 2 o'clock, and I didn't understand what he was talking about. One of our assistant coaches said, no, Coach, we're going to do something where the students really cheer at 10 points. And my thoughts weren't even on that. So during the game, we're off to kind of a slow start, and they get it to 15-8, and it seems like our baskets are coming really hard for us. Mm-hmm. We finally get a putback. Taylor Wishmeyer gets an offensive rebound, sticks it back in, and our students just start going nuts. And I think to myself, gosh, you guys are being kind of sarcastic here, aren't you? I mean, we're struggling a little bit, but hang in here with us.
Yeah.
And then it clicked and it hit me like, oh, it's our 10th point, and that's pretty cool. And then we got a quick steal, which led to another basket. All in all, I have never seen a student-organized gimmick, so to speak, have such an impact on a game as the Silent Night event had in our game, in such a big game. Now, here's what's really important. This game had so much riding on it. It had a conference tournament bye riding on it. It had a 20-win riding on it. It had, the most significant thing is, really had a solid seed for the NCAA tournament riding on this game.
Yeah.
And to see this involvement by our students, and who then got the rest of our crowd really into this, Peyton, I've never seen something generated from fans. I've seen players make great plays, which get the fans into the game. But I've never seen something generated by a student body at any level like that had such a turn on such a big game.
Yeah, and, you know, with that huge win, you know, you finished the regular season with a record of 20-6. And you definitely kept up USI's legacy of having, you know, very successful basketball program. But I want to know, looking back on this past season, what set the 2012-2013 season apart from all the other seasons you've been head coach? Like, what is something, you know, whether it be the most significant memory of this past season or just what set it apart?
I think what has been something I'll look back in time on this team is that we had replaced so many points and rebounds from our last 2 and 3 teams. Mm-hmm. Brandon Hogg was a great player, and he's gone on to Europe, have a great deal of success. Isaac McClure was a scorer. And we only had about 28 points coming back from a team. And so we had to go out and recruit. We had to recruit size. We had no more size. And we needed post play, and it's so tough to come by. And we were able to get Keith DeWitt and Aaron Nelson and Manny Ogunfulu to go along with Taylor Wishmeyer, and now Chuck Jones comes on board, and we have Nick Hutchison. That's really important in a program because you have to have inside play just to get tough baskets, to get tough stops. The other thing we needed a scorer. We need someone that you could put the ball in their hands, he could go get us a bucket, and that's what Orlando Rutledge has done, and along with, you know, some of the other guys. But I think we replaced so many parts, so many pieces to the overall program, and when you blend those personalities, it's not very easy to do. And we've had to really blend personality. We have good guys, and I think our student body will attest to that. I mean, our guys go to class, they take school serious, and I think that's what we all want here, no matter what the activity is. You know, Peyton, we want you to take this serious in order for us to root for you when we watch your program.
Exactly.
Same with college basketball.
Exactly, I see. So I know that you and the team are very busy. You know, you're heading into the GLVC tournament this week, and you're going to be facing Lewis University first off. Now, you played Lewis University twice already this season. First time at Lewis, you won 65-64. However, the second time when they played here at USI, they beat us 63-59.
Right.
So this is definitely a tough opponent that, you know, we're very familiar with. What's the mindset or what's the game plan going into this game?
Well, I think Lewis is clearly as good as any program in our conference. They finished with I guess a 6 seed, but I'm not sure that really matters. I think right now the only thing that separates teams in this conference tournament is the color of uniform you wear. I think that's the only difference really in any of the games. But what makes Lewis really good is they really defend. Now think about those scores. We averaged 63 points in 2 games against Lewis. They have 2 terrific guards in David Bryant and Ryan Jackson to be an all-conference player. They have good inside players, but we really pride ourselves in defending. We averaged 77 points on the season, 73 in conference play. They held us to an average of 63 points. They can really defend. We have to be able to score against Lewis to come out of this thing successfully on Thursday.
I see. Now, Speaking of tournaments, it is March, and in a couple weeks, March Madness is going to start up for NCAA Division I. So it is a little bit early to start your brackets and all that, but at this point, who are you picking to win the tournament?
The Division I tournament?
Yeah.
It's so wide open. I mean, Indiana is certainly has. There's so many teams. I think there are 20 teams legitimately that could really have a run. I think a team like Butler or VCU or St. Louis U could go deep into the tournament. I think your household name, certainly Indiana is going to be in the mix, and New Mexico is a team coached by Steve Alford, an Indiana guy, and there's just so many. It's so wide open that I think this is the year where the 1 seeds probably get beat. But then again, Kansas plays, I think, the best defense in the country, and they're known for their offense. But so it's going to be so wide open, as will be Division II basketball.
Yeah, definitely. So now going back to USI basketball, a question that I think a lot of people want to know is, your son Zach plays on the team. I'm curious, what's it like being a coach and a father at the same time? In my experience, I remember back when I was playing Little League Baseball, there was a season where my father was the head coach. And yeah, he was my coach, but at the same time, he was also my father. So what's it like having a son playing on your team?
I had the same experience. My father was a farmer, and he coached my brother and I in Little League Baseball all the way through, and I really enjoyed it. I grew up, really enjoyed being around my dad. I really respected his knowledge of the game and the way he handled all of us. I never felt like he ever treated me special by any stretch. If anything, I felt the dings of being the coach's kid because when I walked 8 guys against the Elks and got sent to the outfield as an 11-year-old, I never came back in. But that's one thing I said to my kids. We have 4 children and 2 boys, and I just said, I'm not going to coach you guys as you grow up because I coach for a living. I want you to be coached by other people. I want you to experience playing for someone else. And when it came down to having Zach have the opportunity to join us at USI, I wondered what it's like to be the coach's son in the locker room because, we have a great bunch of guys, and we've had a good run here. But man, the coach can be kind of a jerk at times, and in the locker room when the coach isn't in there, I know because I played and you played as well.
Yeah.
My name is brought up, not always in a holy vein. So to be a coach's son, I think you've got to be able to be with the guy and say, yeah, he is a jerk. And with Zach, I think he can separate it. With me, I can separate it. The one thing that I realized when my son, Zachary, as a matter of fact, when he was 8 years old and he's played Little League Baseball for the first time, I wondered if I would be one of those guys that thought my son was the best player on the field. And it took me one practice, certainly the first game, to know exactly where my son stood. And I've noticed that in sports and dance, when our daughters dance and whatever activities are, it's not hard for parents to know where you stand. You're objective. If you really understand the activity, then you really get it. Now with dance, our daughters dance. I think my daughters are the best, but then again, I know nothing about it.
I see. Now, last question. It's obvious that you love the game, have a real passion for the sport of basketball, which is expected in a great coach. But the question is, can you throw a chair farther than Bobby Knight?
I like the new commercial that he and Digger Phelps are doing, where Digger Phelps kind of knocks the chair over, and Knight goes, "That's not how you throw a chair." I think that Coach Knight is a genius. I think he's a basketball genius. I think most of that stuff was, pretty much premeditated. But I would never know that. The one thing about Coach Knight, I know that it's a great question. We're not throwing chairs at USI, and it's not expected, and it's certainly not going to be tolerated. But the one thing that coaches like Coach Knight and Coach Dean Smith and Hank Ibo, the great coach from Oklahoma State, and I can just go on and on, they've really handed this great sport to us, and it's much bigger than basketball. I think Coach Wooden was one of the great ones I think most of us follow. Coach Krzyzewski, I think, is the one that's kind of taken the reins. But I think our role in this is to bring more than basketball and bring more than emotion and more than offense and defense. It's about helping young people grow to go from young adults to adulthood. But our real place on this college campus is that we are a vehicle for interviews like this, where we can promote our university in a positive way. And even when we don't score enough points, we have the charge in athletics to be part of campus life for our student body, be a link in the chain that makes this university great.
I see. Well, Coach, thank you very much for being here today, and best luck to you and the team in the upcoming tournament.
It's an honor to be with you, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing for our university as well.
Thank you very much.